Thank you for joining us again at the Donkey Assisted Activity Centre at Sidmouth. And I am thrilled to say we have two very knowledgeable donkey experts here today. Number one is Peter Wright, also known as the Yorkshire Vet, who is an ambassador for the Donkey Sanctuary. And Steffi, I'll let her introduce what her role is, but it's about donkey assistance and being able to manage this centre and all that it brings with us. So thank you both for being here. And we've got, tell us who we've got in the background.
We have on the right, the bigger brown donkey is Socrates, and on the left, the smaller one is Coil.
Do they have any particular quirks or any particular personalities that we should know about while we're in here?
Yeah, well, we're seeing one of them at the minute. Socks loves food. He's our oldest donkey in the herd. He is just, well, he's 20, not that old. He came over from France, and he has been with us with quite a few years now. And Coil is 11. And he just loves human interaction. He'll always be coming over. When there's not a food distraction, he'll be right over.
Socrates, to give him his full name, I mean, a 20-year-old donkey, he's got a fantastic coat, hasn't he?
Looks amazing.
What a gleaming coat.
He looks amazing, he really does.
For his age, fantastic.
Credit to you looking after him, he does look amazing. So Peter, can you explain your position with the Donkey Sanctuary and how it all came about?
Well, as people know, I'm a northerner. I'm from North Yorkshire. And I was asked to come down to the Donkey Sanctuary in 2018 when Channel 5 were making a telethon programme about donkeys and other charities as well. There were 5 UK charities, well-known charities. And I was asked to come down to the Donkey Sanctuary to make a clip so they could show this, so that people would contribute to the charities on the night when it was shown in December. And it was a great success, I've got to say, but coming down here, one thing was particularly obvious was the joy on everyone's face here, and the donkeys themselves, the characters were just overwhelming. And anyone that came here, and I was in reasonable spirits when I came, but I would say anyone that's a little bit down in the dumps, come to the Donkey Sanctuary. Because when I left here after filming that clip, I went home with a real spring in my step. And I couldn't stop talking about it to my wife for days afterwards. I was thrilled to be here. And I think that was pretty obvious, the joy that I had. But on the night, I was asked by Dr. Svensson's granddaughter, who I wasn't aware of at the time, she said, would I consider being their ambassador on the 50th, thank you Socrates, on the 50th anniversary. And it took me about a millionth of a second to decide, yes, I would love to do that.
Fantastic. And how long ago was that?
That was 2018, and I became ambassador in 2019, 5 years.
Amazing work. And the amount of work you've done with donkeys prior to coming down here and being involved, how much was it in Yorkshire?
Well, as a mixed practitioner, I deal with all species. And it was always a pleasure to go and see donkeys. And as we all know, the education that we receive as veterinary surgeons, as students, there's nothing specific about donkeys. You know, yes, you do a lot of horse and pony work, and as we know, there's a huge difference. Yeah. And what has been invaluable to us as veterinary surgeons over the years is the support that we've had as vets from the Donkey Sanctuary. Because of their expertise and leading the way with knowledge and education, and they're only too willing to help. So that was a port of call if we needed help. And of course, as things have evolved now, we know a lot more about what's needed. And particularly, you know, I've seen a lot of foot abscesses over the time. And with abscesses, we know that they've not got the best of feet, they are quite porous, and it's very important that donkeys have hard standings to help with the foot conditions. I think he's come a little closer to listen to what I'm saying now.
He's having a listen to what you're saying.
So that's been part of my workload over the years, and routine castrations has been another part of it, which is something that has to be done. Coat and skin problems, ringworm, just a general run of the things, run-of-the-mill things that we see as veterinary surgeons, colics, when they've eaten something inappropriate. So these are just general things that we would see, but it was always a pleasure to go and attend to a donkey.
Yeah, there's something magical about them, isn't it? Something calming and something magical. Steffi's going, not every day.
Oh, no.
It is though,
We're
isn't
very lucky to work here. Yeah, they are special.
Yeah. And what do you find different about them physically in the veterinary sense that you have to be aware of when you're treating them?
I think that what we need to understand as vets is that they're very stoic animals. They don't always show pain.
Right.
I think that's something that we need to take on board. Very, very different from horses and ponies. So if they are colicky, they wouldn't necessarily show it in the same way as a horse would. I think that's one of the issues. And I think there's other things as well. Huge difference is the coat. The coat isn't oily in the same way as a horse's or ponies is, so they're much more susceptible to the wet, and as a consequence of that they can be more prone to bacterial skin problems and just getting chilled. So there's lots of things like that we have to consider, and and I think for some years now we've looked at equine dental work, and we've concentrated more on horses and ponies. I think I'm ashamed to admit, but now we do look at donkeys and the teeth and issues, because these are things that need to be watched and managed, otherwise you run into problems.
Somebody's having fun there. He's ruining a beautiful coat there. Peter, tell us about an animal that has meant a lot to you. We spoke earlier about generally there might be one animal in your life that you had the bond with that was incredibly special. What's happened in your life that you can potentially name one animal? It doesn't have to be a donkey.
Well, there's a number over the years, but there's one that does stick in my mind. It was a donkey, and it belonged to two people that have appeared on the Yorkshire Vet regularly, called the Greens, and they had a donkey called Horace, and Horace wasn't a typical donkey. He didn't like other donkey companions, despite numerous efforts, and he loved people. He loved everybody, and he bonded with humans incredibly well. But there was one exception: vet. He didn't like the vet, and no matter how I tried to suck a favour with him, he wasn't having any of it. But he would be mischievous, and he wouldn't do you any harm. But if I went in to have a look at him, he would sort of just nudge me over like this and gradually, just slowly, but not painfully, squash me against the wall. And we had to give him a bath on one occasion, and he thought it would be good fun if he moved around to me and pushed me up the fence side as I was working the shampoo into him. So he had this about him, but he never showed any malice whatsoever. But it was almost like a game to him, I think. And I think that's what donkeys do. I think they are incredibly intelligent. Yeah. Yes, they do show a lot of empathy, as he seemed to do with a lot of human beings, except the poor old vet. And I think I used to see the funny side of it, really, because we all did. Because, I'd go and see Horace with a smile on my face.
Come away with...
Well, not even any bruises or anything like that, but just knowing that it was Horace 1, Peter 0.
Yeah, he won each time.
Every time.
Peter spoke then about their empathetic side. So, Steffi, can you explain all about this place, what your job is, and who benefits from the work here?
Yep. So I work here as equine assistant. So I spend a couple of days looking after the donkeys, and then 3 days I'm centre support. So I just deal with the comings and goings in the centre, but I'm also involved in our sessions. So today you have come to our donkey assisted activity centre. It's right in the heart of the sanctuary. So we are currently in our indoor arena where we will hold our sessions, but ideally we like to do as much as we can out in the natural environment. So we've got a lovely outdoor arena and yard and field area, but sometimes this is more preferential because it's a bit more confidential and private space. So the programs we run are activities that are mutually beneficial for both the donkeys and our clients. They are all tailored to the individuals or groups' specific needs, but with the aim to promote life skills and well-being of people is having a rub. The well-being of our clients and of the donkeys as well.
Got a fan behind you, Peter.
Oh, socks.
It's beautiful. So the people that come, they come because they're referred. How does that happen?
Yeah, so we have a wide range of clients here, from primary school age to more senior clients. We get referrals from local charities such as Parental Minds, who deal with families that are struggling with mental health issues, or another example of a local charity is at First Light, who deal with victims of domestic abuse. But then we also, recently we've been having quite a few NHS groups coming in, of doctors and staff coming in for wellbeing sessions. And we also offer out sessions to our staff members and volunteers. So accessible to most people. Just, do have a look on our website, because all the information's there. So we'll try and accommodate anyone that's interested.
We understand completely how the human would benefit from this time. How do the donkeys benefit from it?
Yeah, so we can see that the donkeys communicate with their behaviour. So we are aware of how the donkeys are benefiting in these situations by seeing them display natural behaviours. So, for instance, socks rolling, and that's a sign that they are having a positive experience.
And do they tune into our emotions? So if I came in stressed, how do they understand that I'm stressed, and how would that show from the donkey's perspective? Yeah,
donkeys are prey animals, so they are they've evolved to be really receptive to subtle changes in body language and behaviour. So, for instance, we have clients come in with very high energy, either excitable or it could just be anxiety and nerves. So a good example is we start all our sessions with some mindfulness. So just taking a moment to stop, take in the environment. We have different practices that we use. And so it brings the energy of the client right down, and it is reflected in the donkeys. The donkeys will either kind of go to sleep, or if you're on the yard and it's all busy, they'll kind of come in. It's quite special to see. They'll just come in and choose to be involved in the session.
And tell us what sort of donkeys you need to be able to do the roles that they have here, because I'm sure not all donkeys are calming, or are they? Are they all that way? Are there not some who are a little bit more highly strung?
Yeah, well, like people, they're all different personalities. Here we've got 22 donkeys creeping in. They're all different shapes and sizes, ages, but there's not a particular type of donkey. They are all excellent teachers, all in different ways. They can teach us,
We can learn a lot from animals, can't we?
Definitely, that's for sure. And it's really interesting. We have different personalities on the yard. So we have one donkey called Apple Green, who is a bit more kind of quieter, a bit more withdrawn. And a lot of our clients can relate to that. So generally, there's one donkey in the herd. If they haven't crept over and chosen you, that people will relate to.
And that was the question, is how you match people with the right donkey.
Yeah, again, they normally will, we don't match it. The donkeys will normally either kind of come in, or it's not us that does the matching, the donkeys and the client. So,
Okay. And how are you available for people? Is it every day of the week? Is it?
Yeah, we are five days a week. We run 4 sessions a day, but we don't have too much of a workload for the donkeys, so we kind of closely monitor how much they have been interacting with people. So they might be kind of involved for a session one day and then have a day off, but the donkeys love being involved in the sessions. So.
Okay. Peter, what myth would you like to get rid of about the donkeys? They assume they're stubborn. They assume they're a bit Eeyore and they're a bit down, but we've seen today that they're not that way inclined. So if anybody could learn anything you've got to say to people about the donkeys, what would it be?
Well, I think what you say there, stubbornness is one of them, and you know, they're far from it. I think the other thing is that, you know, there's a tendency to think in the past that donkeys were stupid, and in fact the converse is true. Donkeys are incredibly intelligent, and I've got to say, and I'm going to say this in true Yorkshire fashion, I do say daft folks, I don't say any daft animals. Animals are incredibly intelligent, not just donkeys, but donkeys particularly so. And the reason I say that is they're so intuitive and they show a depth of empathy. They pick up on our body language, not only our body language, but they pick up on almost on our inner thoughts. Are we down in the dumps? Are we feeling quite happy with life? They pick up on that sort of thing. How they do it, I don't know. But they just have this ability to do so, and I find it absolutely incredible.
I think you picked up on something lovely earlier. I don't think anybody would walk away from visiting here without having a smile on their face, because they will pick up on rather beautiful animals. Steffi, tell us about the guardianship and how somebody could start the process of taking on a donkey.
Yeah, so, well, you need to have all the kind of environmental things in place to start with. Obviously, you'd need space for the donkey.
How much space? Because they used to say 1 acre per horse, didn't they, Peter? They used to say that would be enough.
I think we say kind of at least 1 acre per 2 donkeys, right. But then we've mentioned before, because of their feet, what's very important is the hard standing, the shelter. But here we run courses, so you need to have that commitment, come along and we actually host it here, and we have a day-long course, and there is online learning. So yeah, that's all available to access online, our website with all the details.
Do you have any more development you want to see here, or any more people that you'd like to invite to benefit from, or do you not have a capacity to do much more donkey-assisted activities?
Yeah. We're very busy, but always looking out for new partners, reaching out to kind of local charities and encouraging kind of more of our staff, because we've got a huge staff here at the Donkey Sanctuary, to kind of get them to come in and experience some donkey well-being time.
I think that's nice. You can invite the staff in just to chill out as well. Maybe you could bring staff down from Yorkshire for a day out.
Very welcome.
I think that would be a good idea.
I think it should be utilised more. Peter, what else would you like to do for the Donkey Sanctuary and representing them over the coming years?
I think we look at the incredible work that the Donkey Sanctuary does, and there's still an awful lot to do, sadly, and the work is never ending, dare I say. And I think, you know, there is more education now, thanks to the Donkey Sanctuary, and there's much more awareness of what's needed. Nevertheless, there are also people out there that have donkeys that really aren't fully aware of what's needed. I think that's one thing. I'm talking about the UK, but I'm also thinking further afield as to what's happening in other countries where the Donkey Sanctuary works with communities and organisations where they can help to educate, but it's done in a very subtle way. The way the Donkey Sanctuary goes out to help, I think, is done in a superb way. And the other aspect to it, of course, is, you know, the Donkey Sanctuary is working at international levels with governments as well, because we all know there are major issues facing donkeys across the world, and this has been tackled by the Donkey Sanctuary particularly. I won't go into those details now, but there are major issues affecting the worldwide population of donkeys, and it's something that needs to be sorted out, and the Donkey Sanctuary is at the forefront of that.
Okay, so if there's anybody that would like to support Donkey Sanctuary, what would your message be to them? How would they get involved?
I think, first of all, come to the Donkey Sanctuary, have a look at the incredible work that's carried out here. I think that's the first thing to do, and there's always people here that are willing to speak to you as well. And I think, again, I want to emphasise that, you know, the issues that we have in this country are really the tip of the iceberg. And I think, you know, when you look at some of the newspapers and the reports as to what's happening to our beloved donkeys across the world, please look at that. Please support the Donkey Sanctuary in the work that they're doing, because it's absolutely vital. And without the work, without the support of people out there, the Donkey Sanctuary wouldn't be able to carry out the work that it does.
Massively important, isn't it? Do you see many more donkeys coming that are suitable for this work? How do they get picked?
Quite often they come from our farms, surrounding farms, and they will be the donkeys that come over like this, and they actively seek out human interaction. They do get it on the farms, but they're in bigger groups, so it's generally, the grooms that work with them day to day, they pick them out and they say, this guy would suit you.
And what's the common trait of them all?
Oh, again, they're all so different, but I couldn't say. They're all so unique and different.
Don't you find that the human characters that we see is mirrored in animals pretty much, isn't it? I mean, you get the ones that are quite shy, generally, naturally, and the ones that are, please, I want to be involved. and you get this whole spectrum, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And you get an intelligence degree that really is quite astounding. And you don't see any dumb ones. No. They're all pretty switched on.
Definitely.
And that's probably a difference from what I was saying earlier about the humans. And I put myself in the dumb category in that one, but it is true that we could learn an awful lot from animals. They have an awful lot to teach us if we listen to them.
If you listen to them. You were saying that Coil was a stray. Is that something that's a regular?
They all have different stories. Yeah, we know his backstory. He's been on the sanctuary for a while, but a lot of them, like Socrates, his owners were moving to England and downsizing, so he was very, very loved and well looked after. They just couldn't care for him anymore, so he's now here. He came over with a friend, Jacko, actually, who sadly passed now.
And how did he cope with that?
We closely monitor, like you were saying, the donkeys are very subtle in showing how they are feeling. They're stoic. So we have to, when they pass, we have to closely monitor them, how they're behaving, how that we put them on some extra feed, make sure they're eating, and we do anyway, but we make sure we take extra care to notice the subtle changes in their behavior. Are they with the rest of the herd, or are they kind of stood off on their own a little bit, looking withdrawn? So yeah, he coped. Like I said earlier, he is a food lover. So yeah, his new best friend is food.
And Peter, Steffi and yourself have said that they're not obvious in showing their pain. That must make a vet's job even harder.
It actually does make it harder, Tammy, there's no doubt about that. And you've got to make allowances for that. So you've probably got to just dig that bit deeper in making sure when you're doing a clinical examination that you're not missing anything. Because in that respect, it's a bit like the person going to the doctors saying, well, there's nothing matter with me, I don't know why I'm here. It's that type of attitude, really. So we need to just scratch a little bit below the surface to make sure they're not masking stuff from us.
And what's the most common ailment you've seen? Is it the feet and the problems with the porous feet?
The feet is one of the commonest problems I see. Yeah. And insufficient hard standings, as Steph says, which are absolutely vital.
Yeah, okay. And have you travelled with your role as ambassador? Have you travelled to different countries? Would you like to do that?
Not officially. I would love to do it. And I was on one of the Greek islands recently on a cruise. And it's an island that's notorious for having donkey and mule rides from the beach up to the town. And I asked the director to put out a message that morning on the information system. This chap's a real animal lover, he's an Englishman, and he couldn't wait to put the message out. Please do not use them. The welfare of these donkeys and mules are appalling. And the sooner this cruel business stops, the better.
That's positive that they've done.
And out of 100, I counted somewhere between 120 and 150 animals, and I saw 2 in use. And I thought, yes, the message is getting through.
Yeah, and is there more that we could do to tell people who are going abroad not to get involved in animal activities?
I think again, you know, we can use social media, which is a huge thing now in getting the message out there, especially to younger people who fully understand about animal welfare. And I think, you know, it isn't blatantly obvious the misery that these animals have in this particular instance. And I think by pointing it out, I think it will surely but surely get to a point where those cruel rides stop.
So I want to say a big thank you to you both and inviting us in here today. Coyle's not quite as sociable as Socrates. Anything else you'd like to say, Peter, about your experience with donkeys before we leave?
I think we'll let the donkeys do the talking for themselves.
He's quite relaxed.
Donkeys, as I say, they can tell us, as animals in general, can tell us all sorts of things if we listen.
Okay. And I believe we've got a new Yorkshire Vet Christmas special coming out. Is it involving donkeys?
Well, I'm supposed to keep this under wraps, but yes, it involves donkeys.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we look forward to that. Steffi, anything else you'd like to say before we leave the donkeys to have their lunch?
No, well, thank you so much for choosing to have your event here today.
We're very blessed to be here, seeing and spending time with them. But as they've both said, absolutely come and visit and understand what the sanctuary do, both here and abroad, and you'll have a wonderful day out. Thank you.